welcome to the Late Night Podcast with Matt and Ben, where we talk, discuss, and share views regarding video games, nerdy stuff in general, or anything really. And it starts in 3, 2, 1. Hello everyone, welcome to another Matt and Ben's Late Night Podcast. I'm really happy to be there. We're casting a pod again.
Yeah, you could say that.
Yeah, we got a bunch of new subjects for you this week that we're gonna continue for a little while with like little small subjects about various kind of things without going into like more bigger broader subjects that will the big meat of the debates and stuff about video games, or still it can be about anything else. Again, I'm gonna say this in the beginning now, like if you want to ask us questions about anything, feel free to do so, or also feel free to listen to this while, playing other games like Minecraft and Terraria, because the reason I started these podcasts was because I really, really enjoy listening to people talk about, various interesting subjects while, it's not necessarily about video games, but yeah, while I play like Terraria or Minecraft or games like that, that don't have a big narrative. And, so yeah, we got subjects for you. Also, do you have something to say, Blaze, before we start?
Unfortunately, I do not have that mindset, Matt. Whenever I'm listening to somebody talk or a debate or something, and I'm doing something else at the same time, I kind of zone out, and it becomes just noise unless I focus on what they're saying. It's because I especially can't do it while I'm playing games. It's like I get into the game, it's like it's just noise in the background. I can't do that.
Well, I couldn't do it, for example, if I'd play something competitive. Well, I was about to say like TF2, but now some people are going to say like, TF2 is not competitive. But I mean, something where you have to have a certain degree of skill while, being against other players. Like, something casual, like you just dig stuff like Minecraft. It doesn't, take that much processing power.
Yeah.
You can be on autopilot while playing Minecraft and, still kind of listen and concentrate on the text, the stuff that people are saying.
Yeah. But, I'm sorry about last episode. My mic was a little screechy. Whenever I got loud, it might have sounded a little bit staticky. I moved the mic a little bit farther away. It might be fixed now. It might not. But Matt says it's cool, so I'm gonna have his word for it. So yeah.
Not that big a deal. I, for one, didn't pay any attention to it. But yeah, let's start. Let's get going. So we'll start with the first subject of the night, which is video games pet peeves, like stuff that just annoy you in video game. It can be anything, like a mechanic or anything really. So, do you want to start, please?
One thing that is really pissing me off is like when Mega Man 9 was first released, the whole nostalgia 8-bit retro market kind of kicked in at that point. So now everybody's trying to make like 8-bit games or like references to old Nintendo games, like kind of what Super Meat Boy did in the like intro cutscenes, and it's like it's doing it on a Family Guy level now. It's like, we get it. You're referencing retro. I mean, but there's a reason that we moved on from retro. I mean, yeah, we have fond memories of them, and we like to have a little nostalgia now and then. But you're marketing your games off of our nostalgia, and that is ruining the experience for me. And yet, so many people buy into this. And they buy Mega Man 9 and Mega Man 10 just because it has 8-bit graphics and it reminds them of the old games. Never mind the fact that tons of features have been removed and the level design is absolutely terrible in the games.
Mm-hmm.
But in games like 3D Dot Game Heroes, it has a lot of as much of a good game as it is. It's basically like a 3D 2D game. 8-bit game, and it makes a bunch of unnecessary references to old games, and it's an 8-bit Zelda ripoff, and it calls itself this, but it's like, we're parodying Zelda just to make it call itself not a ripoff but a parody. I mean, there's a very fine line between it, and you're on the ripoff side, but it's still a good game. I just get annoyed with the retro
Yeah.
market that is going on right now.
Well, I have few things I disagree with here actually. You say first that it feels under nostalgia and therefore it's somehow bad. I mean, if some people can feel nostalgic with a game enough that he wants to buy it, I'm say sure it's not really a problem. I mean,
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that it's gone too far. I mean, people look at Mega Man 9. It's like, hey, we can make cash off of 8-bit revivals,
yeah.
and then
My point
that's
is, what's wrong with that?
the fact that it's becoming way too common ever since Mega Man 9's release. There have been multiple people ripping off Capcom doing that.
Well, personally, I think if it's becoming popular, it's because there's a demand for it, which explains why it's there. Like, people wouldn't do it if it wouldn't sell.
Yes, but the references and the parodies they only cause so much nostalgia and joy from them
Yeah.
before it becomes stale, and that's where I think this is heading.
Maybe, but once again, it's like, because, doing reference to older games might be good as long as it's done in good taste. Like, for example, like movies might reference lines from other movies, and then super cinephiles may be like, haha, this is from another movie, yes. And, and of course, some people are good at making references, some people will make bad reference and cheap references. I think we just have to separate the good retro games from the bad ones. And also, you mentioned, like, games that copy Zelda and are like, we're just a parody. Like, I think games shouldn't have to do that, and like, because I mean, some games from like old games, like for example, Zelda: Ocarina of Time. It's his own genre, in a way, and same for maybe Castlevania. But I'd say, like, if people would want to make games that play like that, but with a different story and context, if it's good, sure, I'll play it, because I love Castlevania. I love the gameplay. Like, of course, I kind of love the story too. But it's just it's okay / good story. It's not like something extraordinary. And I would, I don't know, like, I like that. I mean, I would support a game that like, because for a game like that to be made, it probably would have to be made by fans or people that kind of like the gameplay, like on an indie level. And I say, if they have new ideas they want to bring to the table that for some reason maybe the original series can't go into, go for it. What do you think of that?
Well, I'm not really sure, but I mean, mainly what I was trying to say was that things like Super Meat Boy, Super Meat Boy has absolutely nothing to do with 8-bit, gameplay, aside from the fact that it's 2D.
Yeah.
And the intros parody like other game intros like Mega Man 2 or games like that, and that was completely unnecessary, and it's only trying to cash in on people's nostalgia, because I think it's trying to make a point like Super Meat Boy is as hard as the old 2D platformers, but it just doesn't come off like that. It comes off as just a cheap parody.
I understand that you might find it as obnoxious. However, I would think that it's inaccurate to call it as like they're trying to cash in on it, because it probably wasn't the selling point of the game. Like this Mega Man scene, like I don't know what it is, but it probably wasn't in the trailers, and if it is, well, maybe then I don't know. But it's just a game that's fun on Incel that people buy because it's kind of hard and stuff, and then it just winks at Mega Man, like like, hey, we like you, Mega Man, wink. I don't mind references.
Well, I mean, you say that it wasn't a part of the hype or something, but I mean, a lot of reviews say stuff like okay, it's got a bunch of references to old games which you might like if you ever played those games in your childhood,
Yeah.
which you can only say that a certain amount of times for different nostalgic games. Like,
Yeah.
Mega Man 9 was originally going to be in HD graphics, which would have made sense, because Mega Man 8 was in HD graphics for the PlayStation. But they decided to make it completely 8-bit because they want it to be like they wanted it to be like a surprise.
Yeah.
But instead of it being a surprise, they hyped it up like, hey, retro, and then everybody starts buying the game.
Then it worked. It was a brilliant marketing ploy, I think.
Yeah, it's a brilliant marketing ploy, but it feels so it feels so evil to cash in on people's nostalgia like that.
Well, it's like it's people want it. If they buy it, like, nobody's pointing a gun at their face like, buy new Mega Man or you'll die. or something. You know, it's like, I mean, there's more evil things going on, like in the gaming industry. Like, other kind of games that force you to grind for hours and make you addicted to them. Wink. Sure, but yeah. Did you? I don't know where I'm going with that. Do you want to add anything? Well, actually, I kind of know, but I'm kind of finished talking about it. Do you have anything to add about that?
Not really.
Okay. So it's my turn to now go on this giant rant. Get ready because this is gonna be hardcore. QTEs. I'm sorry, you guys, but QTEs, I just can't stand them. Why would you do that? Like, if I want to play Resident Evil 4, not goddamn Simon, it's like, like you're enjoying this perfectly fine cutscene, like all stretched up and relaxed, and then X not to die, and you're like, oh, what? And you drop your controller and you die, and you're like, God damn it, now I have to watch this all over again, or just mash buttons, or even take the God of War versus Devil May Cry approach. So like not in cutscenes, just when you fight bosses, like it's now it seems like it's always like, put the boss up to a certain health and then press random buttons to finish it. Like, I mean, I'm sorry, maybe some people might, enjoy the cutscene, like the gore and like the boss being like totally destroyed and annihilated by, your character. But for me, it feels like a chore. Like, you just, like, I mean, why can't you just like make the boss go faster and be harder? Like, because Devil May Cry, as far as I recall, doesn't have those QTE things, and you're just dodging hits and being really quick until the very end, until like the boss has this sliver of health, and you're like, you try to kill him, and now you win. And what is there after? It's a cutscene that for it, to still move along, doesn't need you to press any buttons, so it actually feels like a reward. And like the only reason for developers to put QTEs in their game, I think, is just lack of imagination. I think that's what it is. It's just like, you know what, we really don't know how to make this flow, so let's just put a cutscene and make them press button at the right time. Like,
well, I kind of have to agree. But I mean, I think the reason QTEs exist was because it's kind of a leftover from the days of Dragon's Lair, and which you press the button at the right time and then a scene would play. It's a leftover from that.
Yeah.
Just it's basically just something really cool will happen if you press this button at the right time. Otherwise, you will die. But I mean, they can't put it as a cutscene because they think that disrupts the gameplay, and I'm not really sure. It's like it stops to show you something cool that you would have done normally had the game not been so limited. So they don't want to send that message, and they want to say, hey, if you push this button, you're suddenly going to run up this giant's leg and then stab him in the forehead.
Well, And well, first of all, just a little parenthesis, Dragon's Lair is QTE the game. Just saying that, and it was made so because it was like because of the limitations of the day back then. But that's besides the point. Thing is, if let's say you're killing a giant in a game, instead of like the boss has this sliver of health and you have to get into position to start a QTE action, I want to just have him defeat the boss and then make the cutscene so when the boss is defeated, the cutscene starts and now you do like the big gory mess and destroy the boss. It's, of course, some people might still argue that in a way it kind of still steals the fact that you kill the boss yourself, but I mean the boss fight's still intact. You still have your fun with the boss fight. I think it would be fine, and then you get to see a cutscene without, and you're able to relax because a boss fight is a big, intense moment where you're concentrated on it, and you have to do especially for hack and slash games like Devil May Cry, it takes all your juice, and now when you kill it, you can be like, whew, you can relax, and it's especially frustrating when you have almost beaten the boss, and now you just have to press buttons when they appear. I think it just and then let's say you fail, you have to the boss will still be alive, and like you get knocked on the ground or something, and then you have to start the sequence all over again, and you can't actually kill a boss by shooting at it or slashing at it like you did before, because now he's somehow invincible. Like, I think it's just stupid. I really don't like that.
Well, I mean, a grating example would be in Kingdom Hearts 2. There's an optional boss you fight, Sephiroth, and
Yeah.
and the very first few seconds of the fight, he has this attack where he goes through you and then suddenly hits you with his sword 1,000,000,000 times, which you cannot block by any means, and it instantly kills you unless you're a very high level. The one thing you have to do is this very second the fight starts, hit triangle and you will block every sword slash, and then the fight continues normally from there. Like it's just that is a really dick move, and like Kingdom Hearts 2, one of the many reasons I hate Kingdom Hearts 2 is because it adds QTEs, and which one of them, like the one I just some of them like the one I just said, like prevent you from press X to not die, and they're just really shitty because I mean it makes the game less of a button masher, but not in the right way.
Yeah, well, because QTEs, I mean, they're supposed to bring in like reflexes, like X, like you see X, you're supposed to press X, even though X normally makes you jump. It's gonna make now you like stab this monster through the eye. I think if you want to do something QTE-like, but that would work, is something similar like you mentioned in the Kingdom Hearts 2, like you block the attack, but not in a dick way like it was done here, obviously, but just like have the boss, like, because I mean in those games you have like you need to have the enemies telegraph their attack a little bit, so like like an enemy will telegraph an attack and then you'll have to press a button really quick, like to block or dodge or something. That's great. It's because Devil May Cry 3, like the first fight with Virgil is so hard, like you get totally destroyed, but then you get all his attacks, you kind of start to understand how he attacks, how he works, and kind of how to dodge them, but it's still hard, and you have to be really quick about it, but it's so, the adrenaline rush is just so incredible. Like, anybody, if you, like, Devil May Cry 3 is actually, it's probably in my favorite games too. Like, it's not on the same atmospheric like atmosphere and like feel level than Metroid Prime, but Devil May Cry, it's just like the cutscenes are hilarious. The combat is just a blast. Like, great game, masterpiece.
Well, the best use of QTEs I've ever seen was in God of War, because like usually it's like you used QTEs to kill a certain boss a certain way, but you didn't have to use QTEs. You could kill, sometimes they were stunned, like they had the circle symbol above their head, like, okay, if you grab this dude, you can do a bunch of QTEs and you can kill him in a cool way. You can insta-kill him, but you don't have to do that. I mean, you can just continue hitting him and he'll eventually die.
Oh, really?
But the thing is, yeah.
That's great then. That could be okay.
Yeah, but the thing is, a lot of times when you're like, okay, Cyclops enemies, when you there are two versions of them. One version in God of War 2 has, when you do a QTE on top of him, you can rip his eyeball out, and collecting Cyclops eyeballs gets you a special reward, which would be cool. Yeah, I mean, they're rewarding you for quick reflexes like that. And the other version in God of War 3, if you do like a QTE, you can ride the Cyclops and you can beat the shit out of everybody with the Cyclops club, and it's basically like that. So yeah, I think God of War tries to do QTEs right, but there are a lot of times where it's press X to not die. But I mean, the moments I just mentioned are where they're used correctly, which I don't think I've ever seen before. Do you have anything else to say?
Well, yeah, like I mean, of course there might be good QTEs and bad QTEs, but for me, QTEs, they're still QTEs. There's so many, like, you could use different ways to, like, I don't know, like, you can use more imagination to do something different than just with QTEs. I just don't enjoy them. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And, okay, so now, runtime over. We can chill down and be happy again. Thing though is I just realized I haven't started the timer, so I actually don't know how much time we have left. So what we'll do is just do the subjects, and it's gonna end when it's gonna end. Woo! Fun times.
Okay.
And yeah, okay. Second subject, sorry, is scary moment slash story slash enemy in video games that happened to you. So I guess
Wait, what did you say?
I said scary moment slash story slash enemies.
Oh yeah, okay.
Like,
Labyrinth Zone in Sonic 1. You said you haven't played Sonic 1. Labyrinth Zone is basically this underwater level, which
I'm already terrified.
Scared the piss out of me when I was a kid, and I think I quit the game whenever I got to that point. If anyone who's a classic Sonic fan will know that when they were a kid, like the drowning music scared the crap out of them.
I know what you mean.
It's a powerful punch and growl beat, and it has a little countdown saying, "You better get out of the water, bitch! You're gonna drown." And when you drown, it's done in a disturbingly realistic way. You know, the music stops, and Sonic just releases all the air in his lungs, blah, 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 and he floats to the bottom.
Yes.
And that kind of creeped me out. But what really creeped me out about the Labyrinth Zone is that the boss of the Labyrinth Zone, you're going upwards with water rising below you. It's going really fast, and there's a ton of obstacles like spears that come out of walls and fireballs that hit you on your way up.
Fireballs underwater? Oh no, never mind.
Well, actually they do the fireballs underwater thing, which is weird. But
it's cool. It's classic video game logic. But go on.
But like if you get, well, it's really really hard to go up and get to the top because you're actually fighting Robotnik at the same time while you're climbing up.
Oh.
Yeah, and if you hit him, you just instantly go back down. And if you get hit once, you are most likely going to fall all the way back down into the water.
Well, that seems
and climb all the way back up. And if you fall to the bottom, it's impossible to get back up without drowning, which makes the final boss of that level. You know, you're desperately trying to get to the top. There's all kinds of crap around you with the drowning music, and then and then since you're underwater, you're really slow, and like it's like Robotnik is getting away, and you know, and then you finally die, and it like creeped me out. But another thing that creeped me out in the same game was Marble Zone. The second level, there's this little lava river that when you go down into this pit. And you're supposed to like run all the way to the end, and there's a bunch of lava flowing behind you.
Yeah, it's I remember this too. The first part of the lava. I played actually Marble Zone when I was a kid because I actually played it, but I just never went past the third act or something. I was that good at video games. And yeah, it did creep me out. I was like, oh god. One of the many things. Do you have any other stories that you might think of, or do you want me to go and then if you think of something?
I guess you can go because I don't think I had a real scary experience when I was a kid.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, for me, I was pretty much. I had Nintendo 64, which means, of course, that I was traumatized by a vigorous game as a kid. Let's be honest. I think Nintendo and Rare were like, I don't know. They were evil because there's so many crazy and creepy, scary stuff in their games. Like, for example, let's just take Zelda Ocarina of Time. Like there's the hands. Let's not even start with the Reddits. The wall masters. The hands on the top that you just see. Like you're Link. You're in a dungeon. You're just walking calmly, and then you hear. And you see a shadow going over you, and you're like, "Oh God, it's happening! I'm screwed."
You know,
because you see this falling down, this like severed hand grabbing you, and you're like, "Oh no, kill it with fire!" And you slash at it desperately because you're crying. You're like, "Oh no!" And
they do that shit in Link to the Past. Before they did that, it was like this creepy dungeon where
I know.
Yeah.
I actually know. Yeah, it comes from
but
there.
it was less scary in Link to the Past because once it fell down, you were like, ah, you bastard, and then you start slashing with a sword.
Yeah.
In Ocarina of Time, you can't see it unless you look up. So
Well, no, you can, and it drops down, and you can actually kill it. But still, like when you, because it comes with some kind of annoyance, because they don't kill you, they don't damage you, they bring back to the start of the dungeon. You know, it's kind of unsettling, eerie, like, and you know when they're hovering over you, like you know you're gonna lose progress, and it really gets your heart pumping. Yeah, it's really. And also you mentioned the redheads. Like you can skip through those guys. They're just like slow moving. Like you can hear their moan from far
yeah,
away.
I never got scared of those things. Actually, the ones in Wind Waker were scarier than the ones in Ocarina of Time because, like,
I couldn't tell. I need to play Wind Waker. It's one of the games I have to play.
But yeah.
Also, I'd have to say, let's change games. Super Mario 64. I'm just gonna say one word, and everybody that has played this game will understand all the fear and danger and death, and you know.
You're talking about the piano.
Yes, I was about to say the piano. This your chair is squeaking. Anyways, yeah, that goddamn piano, like, ugh.
I have to admit, it scared the shit out of me. You're just walking up to it. You think it's just an item. It's
a normal piano. Then it's like
it's just like a platform, and then it's like munch, nom, nom, nom.
It destroys you. It's like, and the noise it makes, like flung, flung. It's like, oh god, and also there's bits in Banjo-Kazooie are no, first there's another thing from Mario. The eel from underwater, like you're in this level with the calming music, you know, it's like, oh, I'm underwater, so great, and you know
they actually
and then and then you turn around and you see this huge face looking at you with teeth, and you're like, oh my god.
They actually changed the eel in Super Mario 64 DS because they thought it was too scary. That's how scary it was.
Is there a difference? Because I played the DS version and I thought it was still a little scary, but that it was less because
It's a little bit different, but another scary thing from Mario 64, which, well, it's less scary and more, you know, disturbing. The fucking, what do you call it? Like the mining level where you go underwater and there's like this, I don't know, it looks like a Lapras from Pokemon, like a blue
yeah, the maze thing level. Yeah, I know. There's I'm gonna call it the Lapras too. It's based on a dinosaur, which is what.
Wait, you call it a Yoshi? I mean, that's a dinosaur, isn't it? Isn't it like a dinosaur?
Yeah. No, it's not. It's sort of, but
no, it was kind of. I thought it was like based on a dinosaur, like it has the spines on its back and stuff.
Yeah, it's dinosaur-ish, but yeah, but we're going besides the point. What were we saying?
Talking about that creepy Lapras thing,
Were you scared of that?
No, I mean, look, if you've ever seen the face is disturbing because it's like it has these blank eyes and it just like opens its mouth over and over, and it's like
it looks dumb.
That's what I remember from it. I mean, I haven't played it in a while.
It doesn't have blank.
But it wasn't scary. It wasn't even creepy. It was just kind of, you know, disturbing. I mean, because I looked at the Super Mario 64 DS version. They actually changed it because it was weird.
Maybe you could, because I played the DS version more recently, so maybe that's what I remember. I don't know, man. Like I just can't say anything about this.
I don't really know either. That's why I didn't say much about it. It's like I said, like I didn't even know what to call it. It's like a fucking. Have you played
Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie?
You know what? I have Banjo-Kazooie on the Xbox Live Arcade version, but I played like the first 2 levels before giving up because I didn't know what to do.
Yeah. Well, I didn't really play them because back then I had only like a few set of games that I would buy like with the console, and then my parents would not want to buy me any other games, so I had to rent them all the time. And back then with cartridges, the save files of other people would stay there, so I'd just pick like the most advanced game and just explore shit and not really play the game, or so to say, which it's kind of like I regret doing that, but you know, when you're a kid, you do stupid stuff. I'd probably need to actually try and play those games. And also, it doesn't help that you know when your first language is not English and you play games in English, you know, you don't really necessarily understand what you're supposed to do. I'm still amazed that I managed to go through Zelda like that, but hey, it helped me learn English. I love this. But yeah, to go back to scary stuff. So there's this kind of there's this rusty level called Clunker's Cavern, and you're like, you know, you just go through the level, and until some point there's like this pipe, and
Yeah.
so you go underwater. You're like in this. It's a long time you go underwater, but then you see through the exit of that pipe, and there's like a giant shark-like creature with razor-sharp teeth that's looking straight towards you. And
Are you talking about that? Like, I think I know what you're talking about. It's like a whale shark kind of, and you have to like go inside it and clean its teeth or something like that.
It's a submarine thing, but yeah, it's really, I don't know what you have to do about it. Just remember this image, and when you're a kid, like it makes you want to, like it makes you pee yourself, scream, roll in a ball, then close the console and throw it through the window, like and never touch it again. And there's also, of course, from that beach level, the shark. When you go in the water, you hear the shark music, and the shark comes after you to eat you, and you're like, no.
Yeah.
Oh, fun times. As for real scary moments, I don't know. Like I played Amnesia, I got scared a few times. Like
there's always the beach levels in games that like they have like this monster that kills you if you go too far outside the level, and if you're like swimming away, and like Jack and Daxter the Precursor Legacy did that, and you hear like this, if you swim too far outside the level, you hear like, and then like this fish like swims up to you and eats you no matter how high you jump.
Yeah.
And it happens so fast. It's like, whoa, what the fuck?
That's true. So how about we go to the next subject?
I guess.
So this one's gonna be fun. This one's gonna be entertaining. I'm really eager to do it. So
what are you stalling for?
Bad games, or because I like to build some hype. You have to build some hype in this business, so people get excited like with you. And so bad games or bad games you like, or best shovelware, like just a game that's terrible, but you can't help but like. You're like, oh, this is amazing, and I'll let you start.
You know, for shovelware titles, that I want to say Toy Story 2 back on the PC. It was kind of like a Mario 64 ripoff. Every level like had a specific set of objectives. Like you had to find the army guy, you had to beat the boss, you had to collect potato heads parts. But it wasn't a bad game, honestly. It got some good reviews, and like I liked it. It was a good game. But beyond that, I can't think of a terrible game that I happen to like besides Final Fantasy X, which everyone happens to hate. Everyone says Final Fantasy X sucks, and I just don't understand that. It has like it gets rid of the active time battle system, which I never really liked. I mean, I put up with it, like, but I prefer a more traditional like choose what to do before he kills you. You know, you have like a turn-based, more traditional turn-based kind of thing, like with the earlier Final Fantasies.
Yeah.
But people call it out for being too linear. You know, that's not
Aren't
exactly.
all JRPGs linear?
Yeah, all JRPGs are linear.
Like,
that's true.
I'm sorry, I want to just open a little parenthesis there. Like, it's like, hey, hero, want to go save the world? No. Oh, don't be stupid. Of course you want to go save the world. Let's go save the world! JRPGs. I love them. They're silly.
Well, I mean,
go
games like Final Fantasy VII, I mean, they always have a specific path for you to follow. I mean, it's not any different from Final Fantasy X. I mean, yes, you have an open world, but I mean, once you get the airship, you can go wherever you like. But until then, which is like over half the game, I mean, you're basically on a set path, walking towards a town or something, which is the same thing Final Fantasy X is. Yeah. So I don't get people's like deal with that, and they also cite the plot as being bad. I like the plot. I thought it was pretty good. I mean,
I'm not
What?
familiar with it, so I'm not gonna comment on it. But I heard people say that it didn't make any sense. Like, I'm not gonna spoil it because I don't know. I don't really understand it that much. So yeah.
Well,
Also,
it's
maybe
basically like this dude is. I'm not gonna spoil much of anything, but I mean the basic gist of the plot is that this guy is in an alternate reality or in the future, and he has to figure out why he's there. And eventually, there's a bunch of crazy plot twists and shit that doesn't really make sense. But I mean, if you take the Final Fantasy mythos into example, nothing in the Final Fantasy universe really makes sense. It's just told in such a way that it makes sense in its like continuity, which again is not really any different from how Final Fantasy X does it. And like, okay, Final Fantasy X has terrible character designs. I'm not even gonna lie, it has terrible character designs, but it also has some crappy voice acting.
ha ha ha
Ha ha ha ha ha.
Even I
You know,
know about this.
The thing about that scene is that they're not supposed to sound bad. They're supposed to like sound like they're mocking being. They're not supposed to sound like they're happy. They're supposed to like, oh, you want happy? I'll try and sound happy. Ha 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 ha. And they're like, and that's what the scene's supposed to be. Like they're trying to be happy, but they're not really, and they're just making fun of being happy in such a desperate time as like the world is ending.
It's one of those
But
scenes.
it's done so bad.
Yeah.
That
It's one of these scenes that make you ashamed of like having other people around you when you're playing this game. Like people hear ha
I know.
ha ha, and they're like, "It's not what you think." You're like, "It's not what you think." It's totally Oh my god.
Oh, you need to hear the Japanese version of that scene. Titus goes.
Titus.
He totally does that, and it's like even worse in the Japanese version.
Titus.
Yeah, I always called him Titus. I don't know why. His actual name is Titus.
Is it
But whatever.
really Titus?
Yeah, it's Titus.
I thought it was Titus.
I always thought it was Titus.
That's what he's
too,
called.
but-
That's how it's pronounced in the. No, there's no. Yeah, that's how it's
Yeah,
pronounced in
no.
the game. Is it? No.
No, it's not. It's not pronounced in the game because Final Fantasy X was the last game that let you choose your own name.
Oh,
So
yeah.
So Titus had a default name, but nobody really referred to him by name.
Oh.
They just call him the
Yo,
guy.
or hey, or this lost dude from another dimension. Yeah.
Like they did go through this entire mission to save the world, and they never bothered to ask the guy's name.
I
That's
never understood
hilarious.
the why they would let you name a character that you can't change at all. Like same for Zelda. Like why would I like to change the name of Link? I like when Zelda talks to me that actually she's talking to Link, so I like to hear her say like, Link, go save the world. Of course it gives you the option of like calling your character something stupid, so it leads to funny shenanigans like, hey fuckface, go save the world, or something like that. But yeah, I think we're going on a tangent
Yeah.
here. So
I don't think so, but well, another thing about Final Fantasy X is that I
bad
like
games we like. Yeah, that's true.
is that I like it because it has. I'm sorry, but it has to have one of the top 3 soundtracks in the entire series, which is really cool. And besides the voice acting and the character designs, I don't really have any complaints. I mean, I thought it was cool.
Yeah, okay. And so I guess it's my turn to talk about the terrible game. Like it's so bad. Like you might not know about it. It was released on like GameCube, PS2, Xbox, PC, and everything. I played it on the GameCube. It was called Judge Dredd, Dredd versus Death, and it's based.
What?
It's based on Judge Dredd, which is based on a British comic that was pretty, I guess, popular at the time. It's set in a dystopian universe where cops are judge, juries, and executioners. So basically, they're super mega cops. It's almost like a fascist regime. Like they can just harass you for no reason, and like even resisting arrest is like life sentence and stuff. It's really harsh and stuff like that. But it's because there's so much crime. But I think it's. Anyways, the game is basically based on that, and there's also it's just But there's two things in this game. Like, first of all, the AI is not bad. It's non-existent. Like, there's gonna be like people running like there's gonna be like there's these enemies in the game that are called like vampires. They're basically werewolves with no fur that are completely white and have like crazy teeth on their face, and they're called vampires, and they're gonna jump at people and attack people. And there's this time where you have to, like, the vampires are attacking in the streets and you have to save people, but it doesn't matter if you let them all die. But people will like run away and be like, "Oh no, vampires, run away!" And then run directly towards a vampire and get mauled and destroyed. But what is really funny is the ragdoll physics of this game. The ragdoll, like, you can kill somebody and see their corpse just jiggle in ways that are so hilarious. Like, it's just, like, you can see at some point, like, the guy that was supposed to code the ragdolls just didn't know what he was doing, and then people were like, "This is just so funny, and we don't have any money to fix it, so just let I don't know what they thought, but, like, oh my god, like, there's some examples, because the vampires, for example, they're crouched most of the time, so when you kill them, their ragdoll will, like, stiffen, and they're gonna, like, fly through the air. Like, you shoot some vampire's head off, and they fly through the air. There's, like, oh my god, like, there's sometimes there's zombies, like, on the ground, like, you shoot through the zombies, and, like, they're gonna jiggle, and, like, sometimes they're gonna just, like, shake a little bit on the ground, then fly, like, on the air, like, while wobbling, and you're like, what is going on? But there's this time, there was this vampire crouched on the ground, and he was about to get up, and he was right next to some kind of desk that was, like, U-shaped, and so I kill him. Right when I kill him, his body starts flying, like, it only did that once. I played this level many times. It only did it once. It starts... You're squeaking a lot. But yeah, it starts, like, flying in a straight line, and then it takes, like, the curve of the desk and does some kind of U-turn, but while following, like, the desk while sliding on the ground. It's hilarious.
Wow.
Also, like, you have, like, your main gun, which has, like, 10,000 modes you can have. Like, there's incendiary bullets, like a machine gun, like, there's armor-piercing bullets, which are just bullets that do a lot of damage. Like, even if the enemy is unarmored, it's gonna do a lot of damage. So if you want to do damage, like, it's just the best setting. There's also ricochet you're never gonna use, which makes your bullet ricochet. Like, in the first level, they like, this is ricochet bullets to, like, makes your bullet ricochet, but it's entirely pointless, because, like, what are you gonna do? Shoot, like, on the side of an enemy and hope that the ricochet will hit him, when you could just, like, shoot, like, on him with the superior armor-piercing bullets? And I don't know. But yeah, the ragdoll physics of this game, they're a blast. Like, it's a terrible, shitty game. Like, the graphics are, like, they want to make you vomit even for, like, GameCube standard. But if you can find this game, either for PS or whatever, in a bargain bin, viewer, or listener, I should say, more, it would be more appropriate for this, but you have to pick it up. Like, it's probably going to cost you, like, what, $2? But it's going to be so funny. Like, even the story is kind of stupid, but... it's just gonna be so fun. It's worth it. Like, this game's worth it. It's gonna be like a blast of nonsensical, like, ragdoll craziness. I just love it. It's goofy.
Well, I'm really sorry I couldn't tell a story like that, because I mean my story was more like a game everyone likes, but I don't. But I mean a game cool. That everyone doesn't like, but I do like, but I don't really have a shitty game that I happen to like for some reason.
Yeah. It's to be honest, like, Judge Dredd, the Judge Dredd game, is like the only video game I've ever encountered that is in the realm of the so bad it's good. It really is. And I think I still have this game, actually. I still have it. I should probably just dust off my GameCube and go kill some perps. Okay, are you ready to move on to the last subject?
You're asking if I'm ready. You're the one that's doing this story.
I know, but because I don't know, maybe you have, like, another thing that popped up in your head. Like,
well, no, you know what? I honestly don't.
Okay, so now it's gonna be the big, well, what is supposed to be the big bulk of this podcast. We don't know how long it's gonna last, but it's what makes a good or bad villain, and like in video games, but also in general, because all medium that tell a story are basically similar. So different kinds of. Do you want to start, or I can start?
You go first.
I'll go first. So I think there are three kinds of main villains that can really. Well, of course, there's infinite variations, but there's three archetypes. There's the enemy, the bad guy that is so cool that you like him, like because I tend to root for the villain. Like he's just like he's cool, he's badass. Like you kind of have to fight him, but you wish you were his friend. Like for example, like I don't know, like the main character disagrees with with his ideals and stuff, and he might be a murderous bastard, but he has some cool moves. And like main example I could give you, like for the Virgil from Devil May Cry 3. It's not necessarily a good villain, and it's not that much of a great villain. I mean, he's just like, I want more power, which is basically what all villains want. But he's so cool, like he kicks ass. I don't know, I just love him for some reason. So yeah, there's the villain that's really cool, that is really badass. Then the second type would be the villain you love to hate. Like that's a really good type of villain. Like for example, there's someone that a villain that would do things so atrocious, so like just like it's like, even if he's cool, like it's not enough to redeem him. Like he's not necessarily annoying, but like you would really want this character to die. Like you're like, this is a terrible person, he does horrible things, I really wish he dies. And so when the hero is fighting him, you really root for the hero, and you're like, "Argh! Come on, punch his face off," or something.
Yeah.
And I can't think of really an example for this. Also for the first type, like I don't know, I'm gonna name cool villains later, actually. And the third type would be that I can't think of right now, because there's probably more than that, actually, is like the unknown villain. So a villain that's not necessarily like a human being, but it's like this kind of or it can have like a definite shape, but like you don't know exactly if it's with you or if it's against you at the beginning, and then it feels kind of threatening, and you don't know exactly what the goals of this thing is. And like I'm thinking here of, like, for example, Dark Samus in Metroid Prime. Like you don't know.
I was thinking more along the lines of G-Man, from your
Yes,
description.
that too. Actually, G-Man would probably fit him more. Like he's the villain of like the Half-Life series, and you don't really know what he wants. He's like controlling. He's like pulling strings behind the scenes, and like he disappears, and he's kind of creeping around. You don't know what he wants. That's a good example. But there's also, of course, there are two different types of the same unknown villain. Like because when the first time you see Dark Samus, is like a dark version of you, and like she kills space pirates, so you don't know, like, is that a bad guy? Not sure. I don't know where it comes from, unless of course you completed Metroid Prime with 100% of the items, which I didn't do at the time.
Yeah.
And like you don't know exactly what are the goals of Dark Samus. Like at first you just think she wants the Phazon for herself, like to become more powerful. You don't really get, like the first time you fight her, you kind of guess that she's not your friend, and you don't really get her goals until like the very end. And even to that time, like she doesn't. It's a character that doesn't speak a single line of dialogue. No, it's some kind of mindless villain that you can't really. Like you can't really associate it with it in a human way. It's just like it's just here to destroy you. Like it has goals, but it's hard to explain. But yeah, that's two other kinds of good villains. Did you have any villains in mind that you?
I know that
you like?
At first I thought I couldn't contribute to this because I don't really have the creativity to come up with a good villain. I don't know what really makes a good villain. But a really good villain that I can name off the top of my head is kind of a comedic example, but he's kind of what I want all villains to be like, is Dr. Fetus in Super Meat Boy. And because he builds all these elaborate traps, and he, like, at the very, well, I'm not going to spoil anything, but I'm not even sure if you can spoil a game like this, but
I don't think the story is that important, but sure.
Okay, fine. Well, he makes all these elaborate traps to keep him from rescuing his girlfriend over and over and over, and he only does it because he hates Meat Boy. He does all this shit because he just hates Meat Boy. He has no. Obviously, I think a villain should have motives, but I mean,
Well, that's
the
his
way
motive.
I mean, that's his motive, but I mean, he's so elaborate. Like he goes over he's so over the top, like it's hilarious, and you just
Yeah.
have to love him.
Yeah,
And
so he's the first type.
yeah,
Type numero
but
1.
and what I was gonna say is at the end he desperately tries to drop the bullshit and just kill Meat Boy. Like he's tired of setting up the traps. He just wants to kill him.
Wow.
I think villains should be like that, and like they kind of like break the fourth wall, and they don't act like super villain comic book style.
Yeah.
They just try to kill the guy that's pissing them off. I mean, I wish it's kind of like what I wish Robotnik would do in the Sonic series. Like just drop the funny, like comical, colorful robots and just make a gun and shoot Sonic.
Yes,
It's
blood
just
blood and grittiness. Well, he
Well,
tried
not
to shoot him
blood
with
and grittiness,
missiles,
but I mean,
and
like,
cutscenes at least. But no, yeah.
I'm not trying to say that. I'm
I know,
trying
I'm
to say
just-
like he should be. I'm not saying it should be grimdark or bloody.
I know.
or-
I'm just bringing it
I'm
up
s-
because it's someone will think it, and I want to give you the opportunity to refute it before it comes up.
No, but I'm talking about like he's
But you make
like in the Sonic Unleashed opening, he traps Super Sonic and he's zapping him with a ray, and it looks like he's slowly electrocuting him when in reality he's turning him into the werehog.
for no reason. Well, maybe there's a reason later and explained in the game, but probably not.
I don't think there is actually.
Or you could just kill him. Like what?
Yeah, I mean he could just kill him right there, and I think he was trying
see,
to kill
that's
him. Actually, in the game, in the
But-
opening cutscene, he drops him out of his spaceship, and he falls towards space. So it's like,
But
yeah, did he
we're
actually
going
kill
in.
him?
We're going in bad villain territory. Before we go there, I just want to add that because you mentioned like that the Dr. Fetus just wants to kill Meat Boy. There doesn't seem to be a reason, but it's still kind of strong because of like what he's willing to go through to achieve his goals. Because villains aren't really from their perspective, they're not villains. From their perspective, they're the good guys. They do. What I guess would make them villains is sometimes like the way they use to achieve their goals, or their actual goals themselves. But they think most of they think they're doing the right thing. And what makes a villain really powerful sometimes is how far the villain is willing to go and how far he's willing, like what he wants to sacrifice to achieve his goals. And I think this makes that's why it makes a villain much more interesting than a protagonist. Like that sometimes they're gonna go to crazy insane stuff to achieve their goal. Like they're willing to sacrifice so much, probably because they lost like so much before, so they don't really care. But sometimes it can be really like strong moments. Like for example, what was I thinking about? Some. Oh my god! I couldn't mention it for without spoiling it, but I'll actually kind of try to do. There's this I'm gonna mention from an anime, Code Geass, which is actually pretty awesome, by the way. One of the few animes that's really like holy shit, really great. The main protagonist is kind of a villain in a way that he's kind of a terrorist, and he's fighting against like this big order that's supposed to be evil, but he's gonna use like some really, he's not all white. It's a gray area. He does some stuff that could be considered really pretty evil, but it's and at the really end of the series, through the whole series he make insane sacrifices to achieve his goals, and at the end he really makes he makes a big sacrifice that's kind of really it's a really strong moment because he believes in his ideology so much that he sacrifices so much, and it's just great. I just love it. Yeah, that's this.
Yeah.
That's one of the yeah yeah that's what I'm yeah. I don't know.
God.
But yeah, that's
Okay. I'm really sorry I couldn't contribute to this. I don't really
Yeah,
know what
it's one
I
of the
the only reason I mentioned Dr. Fetus is because I mean
yeah.
he's a really good villain because I think like he breaks the fourth wall, like he tries to kill Meat Boy so much. That's what I was saying.
I don't
Like
know.
like he's like, why won't you just fucking die? And he like tries to shoot him over and over.
Yeah.
Like yeah, I think we need more realistic villains like that do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's really amazing because I hate, see, for example, I hate dumb, like villains from most kid shows are bad villains because, and I'm sure there could be a way to make a good villain without, going into those horrible stereotypes, like, the villain has the hero, like you mentioned, what you mentioned with Robotnik, like, let's switch to bad villains, like, they will go, like they have the hero, they captured him. It's like, they have him, and then they're just gonna do something silly or being like, I'm gonna, I'm gonna like tie you up to this missile, and in like 10 minutes it's gonna go off. I'm just giving your friends the right,
Oh
like
God.
enough time to rescue you or something. Like this
That's
is
like
this
that's
is
like
stupid.
that's like 20th century silent movie era type villain.
Yeah, but I mean, it's still done in some cartoons, and like, why? You know what would be a really good twist to do with that thing? Like, you tie, um, you tie like someone to like this missile, and then when his friends are like like actually the missile is just a dud. Like, you just wait for his friends to come try to save him, and then like there's actually guns in the wall. Bam! You kill them all. Perfect. Like it was a trap. Everybody dies. But no, I don't like. For example, other kind of terrible villains. The Team Rocket from Pokemon, like the
Oh
Pokemon series,
God.
Pokemon cartoon. Like, but at first,
You remember that Fiji Cats comic about where like Ash finally walks up to Team Rocket and it's like, why the fuck do you want my Pikachu? Here, I have like 12 of them. Take one. Take it. I don't fucking want it. How about you just stop pissing me off and go somewhere else? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
God, there are so many legendary Pokemon that you should be catching right now.
Yeah.
But you want my Pikachu. It's not special.
Well-
I mean, he's my best friend and all, but he's not special. Just go away.
and you pointed it out, like their motive for chasing Ash is fairly weak. Like at the beginning of the series, like when they come up, they're kind of impressed by Pikachu's power, I guess, which actually is not Pikachu's power. It's just that coughing was like gassing up the Poke Center, and that's why it exploded.
Yeah.
But so Pikachu's not special at all. He's not. But
Yeah, honestly, they should have stopped after
even,
season
then,
one.
yeah, after a while, like you understand that there's like bigger prizes that you can go through, and even there, like, I mean, it seems pretty hard to, like, well, they're incompetent, let's be honest, like, but there's one episode where, because I'll be honest, every Pokemon episode Team Rocket was in, I was rooting for them. I was always wishing that they'd get that goddamn Pikachu, kind of like Wile Coyote and the Roadrunner.
It's like.
But there's
okay,
this
we got
episode
Pikachu. What do we do with
where
it?
I don't remember it, but maybe some of you will remember. It's like Ash just got his horsey and shit, and the Team Rocket appear at the beginning of the episode, and they just get like their ass kicked in like 2 seconds. It's pretty easy, and then you're like, oh well, that was lame. Team Rocket, you're not getting any better. But then they come back later in the episode, and they create an actually pretty devious plan. I mean, for Team Rocket, and like they steal. I don't remember what they're doing. I think they pretend like to go for Pikachu, but it was just like a trap. They weren't after Pikachu, and they just like stole all the other Pokemons that were like in a row. So like they just stole like cages full of Pokemons that they're running away, and now they're almost succeeded. Like they made an actually pretty incredible plan, and I was like, holy shit, that's really awesome. But then like Horsey was in one of the cages, and he blew some like. Some oil, and like of course Ash finds them and stuff, but even when Ash catches up to them, they're really usually they're kind of bad at fighting, but now they actually put up some kind of a decent fight, and it was the only time like the Team Rocket almost like approached being good villains, but other than that they're just desperate, and of course as it went on they just were goofier and goofier, like what, like just comical relief villains. They're bad. They're just like, you can have funny villains and still make them threatening. Because
Skeletor.
or Mumra, I don't know. Mumra's a fucking badass. Let's be honest. Like, Mumra's like first type. Like you want to be. Well, you don't necessarily want to be him because he's like a rotting mummy, but he's really cool. He's the cool villain. First type is like really cool villain.
Yeah.
But villains have to be threatening. You have to take them seriously. I'm sure everybody knows that. Like, it's just
Yeah, that's
ABC of creating a villain. He has to be threatening. If he's not to be taken seriously, why would the character take him seriously? Like, nobody cares. Uh,
yeah. It's like I mean that's part of why I prefer the Joker and the Christopher Nolan films
he's
over the
he's a fantastic villain. He's really, because he's, like I said, he's a character that's, he's really threatening. He, like, you never know what he's gonna do next, and he is
Yeah.
ready to go to extremes to achieve his goals, which his, I don't know, well, his goal is just like to fuck shit up, basically.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
just
it's
like,
what goal?
like saying the Joker is a goal is almost contradictory. He really just wants to have fun.
There was an episode in Batman the Animated Series where Joker's motive was to put a smiley face on every fish in Gotham. That was his entire motive.
But that's kind of
But it was no, it's not even stupid because you need to watch the episode. It's done in
Maybe.
such a way that it's like, it's like it defines Joker. I mean, he makes like these ridiculous. He has like these ridiculous motives. There's no reason he's really doing it, and like they have to stop him because they don't like their fish to have smiley faces with ruby lips and have be white. That's the only reason, and it's just brilliant. You need to see it.
Maybe actually, but to go back to the movie, like the Joker in the movie, like he actually, he also thinks he's right. Like he has these arguments with Batman, like, see how people, like how bad people are. Like, am I really worse than them? I'm just screwing stuff up and like try to, he says like he goes against the plan. If anybody's like goes against the plan, he, like, everybody starts eating each other up, and that's so true. Like, Joker still thinks that he's doing a good thing between parentheses, like maybe not actually, maybe he just doesn't really care, but he knows that he's not really doing a good thing, but he thinks he's right. He thinks he's doing the right thing in the sense that, it doesn't matter one way or the other.
I don't think he ever thinks he's doing the right thing. I think he knows he's doing the wrong thing, but
Let me
put
it this
really
way.
Care.
But he does. But he knows he's doing the wrong thing, but for the right reasons, which is not necessarily maybe a reason at all. But he wants to cause chaos and destruction, but it's to prove a point, and that's basically what he wants to do. Do you want to add something to that? He wants to prove a point. He's like, I am right, and that's what I'm saying. Like, it's more not necessarily like that they necessarily think that they're doing the right thing. Well, they kind of do, but for the Joker, it's less that. But it's more like, I'm right. There's still like this side of like, because people don't do just shit. Because, well, actually some do, like psychopaths and stuff. But like for most cartoonish villains, like they don't do stuff just because they're evil. Like, I will kidnap the princess. Why? Because I'm evil. It doesn't make really much sense. Like.
Yeah, but in games that are like cartoony or, the games like that, they're supposed to be, cartoony and like over the top. So in that situation it fits, but in anywhere else, it's just really weird.
But let's take Bowser. Like he's not really a great villain except like in the Mario RPGs where he's actually given some characterization, and they make kind of fun of the fact he's always stealing the princess and failing. And in the actual Paper Mario series, it kind of shows you that I think like Bowser's in love with the princess or something, which is kind of disturbing. But
in the first, but it's really weird how Bowser can like.
But it gives him so much more like depth. Like he has a motive. He loves the princess, but he's just like. Like he doesn't know how to say it, so he just kidnaps her and fucks shit up. And
I think in Super Mario 64, the only reason he kidnapped the princess was so she can bake him a cake. I think that's the only reason she even got kidnapped in the first place. Because I think it's actually said in game that that's why
I
he
wouldn't
did it.
know. But see, it shows that Bowser is in a way kind of jealous of Mario for some reason, and see, it's
Everybody's jealous of Mario. Like,
well,
I mean,
no, everybody's
Luigi
there.
is too.
Yeah, he is. That's why Luigi is so much more entertaining than Mario.
I mean,
Luigi is three-dimensional, while Mario is just it's me, Mario. Wah, woohoo! I jump high, and
like
Luigi.
I actually want Luigi to be a villain in one game.
Well,
just
he
so he
is.
can like.
He is in one game.
Well, I know he's like Mr. L in
Yeah.
Super Paper Mario, but I mean, I'm talking like a main villain.
But he wouldn't.
I know, but he's no, it like it would be like Bowser is behind it the whole time. Well, actually, now in retrospect, it would be more like Mr. L's role.
Yeah.
Like he would be kind of a villain, but I mean, Bowser would be behind the whole thing. But before Bowser is revealed, it's like Luigi looks like he's doing everything, and
Wait.
he acts like he's doing everything.
Wait,
but he's
Mr.
really
L
just-
is Luigi? Oh my God! Don't say such stupid stuff. They don't look anything alike. Well, I think we pretty much we went through all the subjects, and since I've forgotten to like take the time, I actually don't know how much time it lasted, so maybe it's gonna be shorter or longer. I have no idea.
Through the magic of internet editing, we can make this shorter for your convenience.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm gonna keep whatever needs to be remained, but needs to be kept. But you know, it's just gonna make more editing for me if it's too long or something, and you know.
Yeah.
I'll just it's fine. Like we'll just
Well, like
there's gonna be more podcasts coming because they're once a week or
like
so.
do you have a
Anyways,
so basically I just like villains that have a realistic touch to them. Like they don't.
of course.
I don't mind like over the top stuff that's like silly,
Yeah.
but I mean I like them to just I like them to just cut the bullshit and just try to kill. Like
Yeah.
I remember reading this like article on like things a supervillain should do, like, and one of them says like they should when they capture the main protagonist, and the main protagonist asks them, "Why are you doing this?" Or like, "Are you going to tell me why you're doing this?" And then the guy should
say no.
The guy should say no, and she should just shoot them right there. and then it says, on second thought, he will shoot them and then say no.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
No, yeah, that's hilarious. But it does prove though that villains kind of want to prove that they're right to somebody, and that's the kind of goofy link between them. But take for example comic books like Invincible, made by Robert Kirkman. Like no villain's gonna do that. Like it's done in such a realistic way, but also some like there's jokes in it. Sometimes it's goofy, but villains are so realistic, and like sometimes shit just hits the fan, and like. It's not like those crappy villains. You just know, like, shit just got real, and
yeah, I mean, going back to Robotnik, it's weird because in the games he's so laughable and he's such a bad villain, but I mean in the comics he's actually gotten pretty badass because just recently he made another Death Egg, which was the big battleship used in Sonic 3, and he killed. He gunned down Sonic's girlfriend.
Wow!
Right there. He didn't even have. And he went on a monologue like, besides Sonic, your kingdom sucks. And, you are completely weak without Sonic. So Sonic is occupied fighting this giant metal version of himself again. So Sally Acorn, his girlfriend in the comics, like walks off, and suddenly this turret pops out of nowhere and kills her off screen. And oh my God, he is so badass in the comics right now. It's not even funny.
Oh,
he has these really cool monologues.
Yeah. But okay, I have one question which can make or destroy this whole thing. Does she come back to life somehow?
I'm not sure at this point.
Because if she does, then
I'm sure she does at some. Well, she does come back to life, but I mean, Well, and right now they're going through like this huge plot twist thing where the world is being reset
Meh.
to be in Robotnik's image,
Oh,
due to a certain machine he built,
okay.
and like Sally is still alive in there, but only because it's the world is reset, and apparently the story is going to continue where it left off later on, and nobody knows what's going to happen yet.
Yeah. Because what makes a character death powerful is when it's permanent. Like it's like how they do it, like in all those most comics, like if Green Lantern or Spider-Man dies, they'll come back. Or if they're if they're dead really, like it's an alternate universe, like you can have an important character
Yeah, I mean, how many times
dying.
has Superman died? Like 5 times, but he always gets rebooted so often that it doesn't. It just loses its
Yeah.
power.
Yeah.
Like,
And
like
I hate to come back to Kirkman all the time, but his Walking Dead and Invincible series are just so good, and they share one thing, that when someone dies, they fucking die. Like they can sometimes they can. Sometimes character might look like they're dead, but they survive, but it makes sense. But when they're dead, they're dead. Like they're not gonna come back later for no stupid reason, which makes a character's death so much more powerful. You're like, holy shit! Like you didn't expect that, and gets you like you want to know what
yeah,
to expect next. And sometimes it's a character you like, and you're like, oh man, wow. And then later when you read
yeah,
the comic, you're like, Jesus, I wish this other guy didn't die because I really liked him, and I think it makes the comic so much more powerful.
yeah.
Because it shows you're attached to the characters. Because when they're dead, you miss them, but they're fictional characters. It's just so great. I like how we're.
Well, I mean, what I'm trying to say is that Robotnik is actually a good villain in the comics, of Sonic, but I mean, obviously Sally Acorn, Sonic's girlfriend, is going to come back to life.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's going to be bad. But what I'm trying to say is, I mean, there are certain incarnations of certain villains that are different in some
Yeah.
forms of media,
And
and you know,
I'd like to add something about the Robotnik, I guess, from the cartoons at least.
oh
Is
yeah,
the way well, he has a very evil voice, but that's not what I was getting to. Is the concept of like roboticizing people, like transforming them into robots. I think it's a really really cool concept that Robotnik would have this technology to transform human beings into like robots that would be
I
bent on his will. The only thing though is that it shouldn't be reversible, because that wouldn't make any sense.
I
And
think robotization is it's just really 90s, and it's kind of weird by this point. I mean, in the comics right now, Robotnik hasn't done the robotization thing for a really long
yeah,
time, and
but
he
it's
he 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 just mostly just tries to kill. I mean, he tries to kill. He doesn't try to roboticize anybody. So
because I mean, because the first thing he ever did was transform animals into robots. But I think it's kind of some kind of corruption, like like I wouldn't like it's a bit like I don't want to say a zombie thing because it's not a plague, but it's like stealing a character of its identity somehow, like it, and but still remain
oh
like
yeah,
you retain its shape, and now it's not. It doesn't have the allegiance it had before. Like it's evil, and I think it's really cool. Like it's a cool thing to like, because you take a character and then somehow you change him, definitely, and it kind of shows maybe like another aspect of the character, and I think it's cool, as long as of course the process cannot be reversed. Because if like it's Saturday cartoon style and like, oh, he's a robot now, but don't worry, I got my deroboticizer, like, no.
yeah.
Like you're like, because it makes sense that you can transform flesh to metal, and then of course the flesh is replaced with a robot and AI that obeys to Robotnik. But transforming an AI to like the human being it was before, like metal, that does like it shouldn't work. But yeah, I think it's good food for thought. And when I'm talking like that, I'm almost scared sometimes that I say obvious stuff, and and that makes me like, and that people are
It's fine,
and
dude.
the way I say it, like that, I think people are stupid because they haven't thought about that. Because I'm sure lots of the stuff we said, most people kind of know about it, like what makes a good villain. I just love to ramble about it, but I don't know.
Well,
I just don't want to come off as like, oh, my intellect is so superior, because that's really not the case. I'm just an average guy talking about average stuff, and hoping to be entertaining.
um,
Just throwing that out there.
I was going to say something, but I completely forgot about it.
Well, you did that to me before, so we're even now.
Like, do you have a closing statement for what you think should be a villain? Like a main summary of your point?
Well, I think I pretty much explained it. I will leave the viewer with a random little thing, because sometimes when I'm at work, I will come up with those crazy ideas, and I have to write them down to remember it. And it's those questions, like, it's totally unrelated with the previous subject. So it's like, so if holy water can kill vampires, what stops you from drinking it so your blood poisons them? And also, if you do that, what would happen after if a vampire bites you? Would you be somehow immune to the bite, or would you slowly transform while killing yourself because of the holy water that's in your very own veins? What happens? I want to know.
Maybe you should ask Velociraptor.
Velociraptor, sure. But see, I like to ask myself like questions like that. It's like overthinking stuff. It's fun.
Yeah.
Always fun. Do you want to add anything else?
Not that I know of.
Okay, so that's gonna be it for now. Again, if you want to have any suggestions, anything, I really would enjoy them.
Drop it in the comment at the bottom.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's very obvious that if they want to communicate with us.
Well, you're always yelling at me like, don't do that. I don't want to sell.
Well, I mean, it's okay for the comments, but I don't like. Oh, you know what? Parenthesis. Let me rant about something else.
Damn it!
You're getting a long podcast stuff. I don't like people that will say stuff like, thumbs up, or comment and you rate, you subscribe and favorite and everything and all that stuff, because I think it makes you look like a tool, for one, because I mean, and I just don't like it. Like, I mean, of course it does help in a way if you say them that, because some people will favorite when they wouldn't, like, or they haven't thought about it for some other reason or whatever, or but I think it would make me look like some kind of tool, to be such like a whore, like a sub whore or whatever. I just don't want that. Like, for me, the price of asking it is too high for the number of like favorites or whatever I would receive. So I just don't like doing that. But of course, if you do it, like, sure, whatever. Like, I don't care. I'm big enough of a person to accept it.
I mean,
like I mentioned, it's actually something I talked about in my TF2 Ramble on my channel, one of my old videos. But yeah, so that's gonna be it.
I should probably mention, like, we're talking about, like, selling out or being a tool here, but I mean, you still haven't linked to my YouTube channel, even though I have nothing on it.
But
so,
well, the reason I wouldn't do that is because there's nothing on it. What's the point?
Well, I mean, like, I guess.
Do you want more? Do you want more YouTube friends? You can plug.
Well,
like,
no,
I don't care. You can
like,
plug your channel in.
Eventually, I might make videos. I mean, I might. I mean, I've been meaning to. Yeah, I've been meaning to make some videos for some time now, but I never got around to it. And because college is just around the corner, I think it may be too late.
Yeah, well, sure. If you want to plug your channels, you can sure do it. But if I had something,
just don't do it.
Yeah, but if I had something to tell you, if you want to really start making videos, like, do it now. Because if you just say, like, I'm gonna get to it eventually, you're just never gonna start it. So you should really just start to do the steps to do it. That's the main reason.
Are you telling me to watch your amnesia videos? Because I've been saying I've been meaning to watch your amnesia videos.
Yeah. Well, no, I wasn't thinking about that. But it's just because, like, the reason my channel exists is because one day I was like, you know what? Instead of like doing it eventually, I'm just gonna start making a video, and if it sucks, like, I just really wasn't in the mood. I wasn't like, yeah, I want to start something and do it, and it was really great.
We need to stop this before it goes too far.
Yeah, let's stop this. So, like, maybe, yeah, okay, so,
He's Matt, I'm Ben.
And, like, I was, like, still gonna go talk, and now I'm still doing it, and we're out! Goodbye!